Hi everyone, welcome to part 4. Okay, Grischuk has just played Queen F3 check. Svidler answered with Rook F2, and now Black has to choose between Queen H1 check and Queen H3 check. Obviously Queen H1 check is best because it forces the White King out into the open and wins a pawn. After King E2, Rook takes B2 check. White is forced to play Rook D2. If instead King E3, the King is tied to defending the Rook. Now comes Queen C1 check, and the Knight hangs. So Rook D2 is forced, and now Queen C1 from Grischuk. He wants to force the King further out into the open, as this attacks the Rook a second time, as well as the Knight. And this move again shows that he was playing for a win. Another possible move is Rook B3, but this allows White to draw. Best play goes Rook C2. It's tempting to play Rook takes F7 check, intending Bishop C4 if King takes F7, and White would indeed be better there, but Black does not have to accept. After King H6, he stands better than he did before, so obviously White shouldn't go for that. So Rook C2, now Queen C6, adding another attacker to the Knight is best, and attacks the undefended bishop. Again, White can play Bishop B5, and Black can choose between Queen C7, which is actually going to get a perpetual, or Rook takes C3. And after Bishop takes C6, Rook takes C2 check, King E3, Rook takes C6, and Rook A2 with a drawn endgame. So the fact that Grischuk played Queen C1 shows that he's playing for a win. So Svidler has to play King D3, and it's pretty much the only move. Keeps everything solid, and this apparently was his strategy, perhaps in conjunction with aiming to push the A pawn, although Grischuk is managing to keep initiative going in order to prevent that for now. Here he played Rook B6, attacking the bishop, and Bishop C4 is best. And it's amazing seeing two grandmasters play out such an imbalanced position and maintain the positional equilibrium. Svidler is a hard nut to crack. He's attacking F7 here, so after Rook D6 check, Bishop D5, Grischuk played Rook D7 to defend it, and Svidler aimed to increase the pressure with Rook F4, Rook DF2 coming next, unless Grischuk plays F5, which he did, in which case Svidler can revert to an alternative idea, Rook D4, unpinning the bishop and maintaining his piece coordination. It's a crazy position to see on the board. And this game, is still very level all the way through. The equally matched opponents, and they're managing to keep things very equal despite the imbalance. Very impressive play. So Grischuk now played King H6, and Svidler, wanting to prevent G5, played H4. You see this rook on D4 is defending both the pawns, and as I said, all the pieces are defending each other. So Rook C7, adding another attacker to the Knight, and Svidler blocked this with the Bishop C4. And Grischuk now gave a check with Queen F1, and after Rook E2 he played F4, where Black's F pawn is suddenly very dangerous. White has to unpin his rook now, Queen and King here and Rook here, or F3 is coming next, and that's going to win. So Svidler played King C2, the Knight and the Bishop both have the rook covered, so that's okay. And amazingly, after F3 the players agreed to a draw. And it seems incredible to most people given the imbalance on the board, but the grandmasters understand that there is no way for either side to make progress here. In particular, after, for example, Rook E4, Rook takes C4, Rook takes C4, Queen G2 check, King B3, now F2, forces rook f4 to take the queen. F1 queen, rook takes f1, queen takes f1. This is a theoretical draw anyway. White has a passed pawn, but the queen will be able to restrain it, and both grandmasters knew this. So it was a great game, not the most accurate, but that is of course forgivable and even expected given the imbalance. Kudos to Grischuk for playing his daring sacrifice in the opening, and also to Svidler for taking the game into crazy complications, which was a big risk. We can have a quick replay. We'll go from Black's point of view and see it from start to finish, so we can get a run through the game with no side variations. The King's Indian defense, which I used to play a lot actually, and Stymish, yeah, it's tricky to handle. This c5, as I said, is a gambit, which actually I've had some horrible losses with the black pieces, so I tend to avoid it nowadays. And black is playing very sharp here, of course. And yeah, knight takes c4, an amazing bit of preparation from Grischuk, although knight g4 also looked interesting. And now just crazy complications. It's a forcing line, and it's actually pretty hard to say which side I would personally prefer playing here. Of course, if you want the queen, it's like always a nice option to play with the queen when your opponent doesn't have one, but when he's got 3 pieces against it, it's kind of a different story. And yeah, this bishop takes a6 seems to be an oversight from Svidler. It's one of the few inaccurate moves that he played, and a very unusual and interesting game. We didn't get to end game, I suppose, strictly speaking, but a very complicated and imbalanced middle game. It's a great thing to see. These are by far the most entertaining games of chess. The tit for tat symmetry can get a bit tedious and monotonous sometimes. So that's it. That's the final position, and a great game from both players. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave any comments or thoughts. Thanks very much.